Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and I put off making this video because it's just not worth the stupid petty drama. And watching someone make a massive mistake and then try to cover for themselves by doubling and tripling down is pretty sad, but he's way past triple at this point and now he's just lying about me. So let's just clear some stuff up. So an angry little man with an angry little channel full of angry little children decided to disagree with my video, telling him that he jumped to a conclusion a little too quickly and didn't investigate properly, both of which are completely true. Let's play some highlights.
I don't know if that's because he's dumb, hopeful, maybe a mix of both. Suspiciously high bids, but that could have been Desolator dummies bidding against each other. I heard they like to do that.
I made my video after it was already removed, by the way.
Don't worry, I got it taken care of. You can sit back and suck a fat one. He deserves every bit of this, and we're gonna rag on him even harder when we scroll through that one. Absolutely clueless motherfucker. So we're gonna put him in his place. Dumbass that he is. And you know what? You deserve it, every bit of it. After making this fucking video, I'm gonna rub it in your face so fucking hard.
Let's just get one thing straight right off the bat. I never said they were real. The first video was titled the way it was, so it would get the maximum amount of views, and I think I said, although I did record the audio twice because of a glitch, that yeah, you see a Lotus anywhere, you see Power 9 anywhere, just assume it's fake. I don't care where it is, what the context is, but there was more evidence that I uncovered that made me think, okay, there is the faintest chance that these are real, and if so, they are stolen. Oh, and the most likely scenario is that all of these were stolen, or the person really didn't know what they had, or the person behind this fell for a lot of, counterfeits that they bought. But in any case, a tiny amount of this stuff might be real then. Especially since there was stolen content already confirmed in here, that if this person was stealing from multiple shops because the Hobbit cutout was stolen from a shop, then yeah, they probably got a lot of counterfeits, but they probably got a couple real ones. But that was so obvious I barely even brought it up in my video, but in case people were like that stupid, I said it in the first 2 minutes, and you just kind of breezed past that, didn't you? And that mixes everything up. Because do you steal counterfeits? I mean, yeah, if you're an idiot. But we'll get into the whole theft thing and the evidence and who I talked to and all this stuff that completely undercuts his little knee-jerk reaction. But he does get to admitting that he has absolutely no idea, he backpedals completely, if these are real or not. The entirety of his argument is, well, I don't know anything about magic cards, but if the Pokemon cards next to it are fake, which yes, they were, oh my god, even I could tell, the holofoil pattern was printed directly on the card. So obviously the magic cards are fake too, well, except that it appeared that this was stolen property and a bunch of the other stuff was expensive and genuine and from the 90s. So once you look at all the evidence, boy, jumping to that conclusion, yeah, you're very lucky you backpedaled in here. But in both videos I said, yeah, you look at something like this and you're like, just in context, I don't even need high-res photos, colors, and anything. They're probably fake. However, I wanted to make very sure I handled this very carefully because if they're real, then we've got a bit of a situation. If even one of them is real, which look at the way they're arranged, a crazy person arranged these. And you can't see clearly the very bottom right, okay? You can't say, yep, every single one. Not that it's in a proper resolution to even debunk any of these, and the way that they're in the little acrylic holders, you can kind of see the edge, but you kind of can't. Like what's white is actually like the gap. But we'll get into the details after, well, let's just play more of what he said because that's the best evidence to show what went through his head. Warning, very cringe content. So here's why he 100% knew that they were fake.
All of the magic, all of the cards look like they're brand new because they're all printed in recent times.
Or they were put in those cases in 1995.
Maybe some magic collectors. I know the magic cards here are a little bit harder to determine whether they're fake or not because there's no holofoil pattern, but I'm sure somebody can see the colors on these and let us know down below.
Oh, if he backpedaled any further from his original assessment, which he seemed really sure of, the video footage would actually start playing backwards. Oh, the color and the lighting. From a garbage cell phone shot done unprofessionally with somebody reaching their hand in to snap a shot of it. Really. Under bad lighting. And the colors give it away. Do you see why he has no idea what he's talking about?
There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to why these are in the order that they're in.
What does that mean? Why would that matter? To me, that just says the person didn't know what they had, which would match the narrative. That would explain why somebody left them unpaid in a storage facility.
We got duplicates of all this stuff. Again, all of it in these cases.
Guys, if they're counterfeit, you can't have duplicates. You're only allowed to have one counterfeit. Everybody knows that. Oh, and you're not allowed to put them in cases if they're counterfeits too. I don't know if you knew that. What even is this? He's just like babbling on about non-evidence. He has no evidence. Okay, I'll save you his cringe, smug, trash nonsense. I'll just tell you what he said. So the contents are laid out in a way that's fake. How would you lay them out? Oh, you take the fragile glass, you put that on the bottom, and then you put the heaviest cards on top of it. There you go. And they are allowed to reach in and prop up stuff for the photos. I mean, if this was like a moving thing, because they do moving and storage, if this was on the back of a truck and those things were upright, yeah, that's insane. But you look at the rest of it, how else would you stack this? This is how people stack items in storage facilities. I don't even get what he means by that. And yes, they are allowed, as far as I know, because they didn't say otherwise, to make things look like visible, turn some things over and stage it a little bit for a photo. But the fragile things are on the edges, the more expensive stuff is on the front, and the bulk crap that's heavier is in the back. How else would you stack this if you're just some person putting stuff in here? He later proposes, well, nobody would abandon this storage facility if they had this kind of stuff in it. Nobody would put several $1 million worth of cards in a storage facility. Doesn't that just scream to you that either they're fake, and who knows what's going on here? I proposed several different theories that I guess he's just ignoring. And the owners didn't know what they had, or it was a thief, this is where he was storing it, and now he's dead or in jail. Or my other theory that I proposed already in the past videos, somebody bought these in the 90s when they weren't that expensive, and then they died suddenly, or who knows? And then this wasn't delivered correctly, wasn't paid for, it was just put in storage, and they're like, it's just stuff we don't want to mess with, whatever, take it. I know how storage auctions work, okay? All the different circumstances that can lead up to it, who knows? But if a thief was stowing stuff here, but he didn't know what he had, that would explain it too, and keep in mind, little spoiler alert for you, some of the property was confirmed to be stolen. So how does that match with his narrative? So to sum up what he's so hung up on, the Pokemon cards are fake, so the Magic cards are fake. But he doesn't know anything about Magic cards, so guys, just because they're rare and expensive, that means that they're fake, obviously. Yeah, most of the time except, oh wait, October 18th. Oh, whoops. Oh, look at that. Oh boy, that's bad timing, isn't it? Yeah, collections like this come up all the time. Oh, must be some rich investor. Nope, German dude just started the collection in 95 when the cards were like 20 bucks a piece. Oops. But how'd they get to Germany that's so far-fetched? Well, they did. Hey, here's 3 lotuses. Look at that, 3 lotuses. I believe he said in a direct quote, well, there's 5 lotuses, it's fake. Well, here's 3 lotuses and they're not. Oh, and wait a minute. That case in the front is from 1995. Huh. And the property on the right is stolen. Huh. That's why I made the video in the first 2 minutes said, yeah, they could be counterfeit. Like, I almost said it jokingly because duh, they're Power 9, they could be counterfeit. It almost went without saying for all but the stupidest possible viewers, and then I reiterated it because I found out, wow, there's a lot of stupid viewers out there in my second video. But yeah, auctions like this come up all the time, okay? WotC employees have stuff like this in their houses. So when I put all the evidence together, did the investigation, talked to the guy, told him they're probably counterfeit, asked about if he knew anyone, looked into which con that was and when it was, everything tied together to this person either didn't know what they had or it's all stolen. And some of it or most of it or part of it is counterfeit. But we don't know unless we're in front of it. Except the Pokemon cards, my gosh. But I looked at them for about 6 seconds because I don't care about Pokemon cards. So if even one of these was real, because you arrange them like that and they're from different sets and stuff, if you buy counterfeits, you buy them all at once. It's still my opinion that these are in a case to show, like, here's a bunch of counterfeits, watch out. Like it was like a warning thing from a store. As I stated in the video, we'll get into all the different scenarios and why it's not quite what it seems if you have a couple functioning brain cells and think about this a little longer than he did. Let me lay out his theory versus my theory. My theory was that it's stolen, the person didn't know what they had, or they're fake. His theory is that this was one giant conspiracy set up by the storage company, and also they don't exist, I don't know. So they knew, okay, this is multi-million dollars worth of cards, these Power 9, they can go for 30K a piece easy. Okay, somebody will bid way too much on this. Maybe we could take somebody for several $1,000s. It's the scam of the century. So they went and bought a vintage, made in 1995 Suncast Just Trading card collector case, which is worth a pretty penny, and like I said, was only made in 1995. They threw that in there for some reason. They bought a whole bunch of what appears to be, I guess, sealed Pokemon products? Or were those like, were the cards put back in them, or the just storage boxes? I don't know Pokemon. Then they bought a whole bunch of expensive deck boxes, threw those in there too. Oh, and those black cases, people are telling me those things are mad money. Nobody sent me a direct link, but people have said, oh, I know what that is. Those are like super, super hyper expensive. I think they're like backlit with LEDs or something. I don't know. I heard all kinds of accounts, but every single person told me those are extremely expensive because I said they were really cheapy looking in one of my videos. In fact, I believe I said that was evidence for them being fake because they're in the world's cheapest cases, and then every single comment and Discord message and everything was, oh, those are actually really expensive. I know what those are. I've seen them before. Those are crazy expensive because they're like custom brass, custom tight hangers, upwards of a couple $100s a piece. So they went and got those too. I mean, what are we at so far? A couple grand? Then they went on the auction website, marked the listing as 72 hours must pick up, cash in person only, no credit card and no checks. Even though they knew it was going to go for 10,000 plus, they wanted 10 grand cash. Oh, and then he said it was money laundering. Oh, so the bidder was in on it too. Okay, you go on a public website with a paper trail, you have somebody bid with a verified, who knows, personal financial information, credit card, ID, all that stuff. I don't know, I don't use the site. They pay a deposit and the sales tax or something like that, I think, with the site. So then they need a credit card, maybe a valid shipping address. So we're already I don't think he knows how cash money laundering works because the YouTube rules, I'm not going to give you a how-to, but that ain't how you do it. You want an actual cash thing where it's anonymous cash. Like an arcade or a laundromat or a strip club or a casino, not a gigantic, super vetted and scrutinized by the feds auction website. And then if you don't want to get audited, you don't say, oh yeah, we sold this for 200, we sold this, we had a couple, monthly charges of $50 a month for the rentals, we had that on our books. Then we had $250,000 in a cash auction and it was paid in cash in person. Don't worry, we gave them a receipt. You are getting audited. What about this was supposed to work? He's like, it's the crime of the century. It's all money laundering. The bid was $253,000 when I last saw it. And remember, he's assuming those bids were real and not just troll bids. I guess he's never been on eBay or the internet. And if it wasn't money laundering, I already said this, you can't just take out $100K cash with zero notice from a bank. Okay, just because you won an auction and you ain't taking the money out till you win the auction. Then you got to drive across the country to the place, pick it up in person only, no shipping, and pay cash. What about that after they staged it with thousands of dollars worth of product in cases in 1995 vintage collectibles is supposed to be the criminal scheme of the century? What about any of this makes an ounce of sense? So this last part debunks absolutely anything he was saying. His entire theory just goes out the window. So after the masterminds decided to stage this and set it up, and it's also perfect, and we're going to make so much money off this scam, oh my gosh, somebody's going to bid way too much. And they just meticulously put everything out for the perfect photo, and then left a stolen Hobbit promotional cutout on the right side with the shipping address on the back of it facing the camera, and then took a picture of it with enough resolution and clarity to get the person's name off it and address of who it was stolen from. Okay, I don't think that the storage company years ago went to some bookstore, which I did verify all this, by the way, that's where it came from, and they themselves stole it and then put it in here to stage this and said, yeah, that'll be funny. Show the label too. But I do think that if you're okay, this is perfect setup. We got the angles, we got left, right, we got pictures of everything. Okay, that's perfect. You can kind of see this. Okay, we're all set. Wait, maybe we shouldn't show a shipping label. Maybe we should take this out. What even is this? This isn't Pokemon or anything related. Oh crap, personally identifying information. Let's blur it. No, these people, they opened it up, they took some photos and they listed it and they marked it as cash only. They didn't know what they had. The owner of this didn't know what they had. Nobody knew what this was. I'll get to my theories on what's really going on here in a second. So guys, then after they rip off some rich investor person or whatever, some group of some business with these super convincing counterfeits, which they would have bought better looking counterfeits if they knew anything about collectible cards, enough to know to stage this and know what it would sell for. But after they rip off some rich person on the order of $10, $20, $30, $200,000, they're not going to come back and burn your place down after they find out that they're fake. They're not going to come shoot up the place. Really. Because they are. They've got enough money to hire someone to do that. So how many holes did I just put in his theory that this was all staged, it's all money laundering, it's all set up? Come on. Even I proposed a more realistic scenario that's still debunked. Everything was exactly as it sits here, and then they said, we could make more money if we throw in these two things of counterfeits and just plausible deniability. Maybe somebody would be dumb enough to pay $1,000 for it. That's it, done. All the rest was legit. I mean, well, we got the lion's eye sitting out, and then I think we had a foil for Citizen Charizard sitting in one of the boxes. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think they staged any of it. They just, why have that kind of heat? I mean, what would that take in? $1 to $2,000? And they wouldn't want to play with fire with oh, I bet this will go for $5 million, huh? Oh, mark the listing as cash only. Like I said, it goes back to all the other evidence. None of this adds up to them being behind it. That's just not logically possible. It just falls apart under any kind of thought scrutiny or investigation, none of which he actually did. So that's the story he was going with. To cover for the fact that he called not the storage company, he called the auction carrier and said, your listing contains counterfeit cards, which it did. those Pokemon cards, I don't need to be in front of them to tell you those are fake. Those are fake. But then I think he said like everything in there is fake, and then they took it down because they don't want any kind of heat, you know. So he was solely responsible for this going down, which then, remember, later in the video he said, oh, it's all scam, it was staged by them, and it's money laundering, all of things you cannot say, because he didn't state it as opinion, he said these are facts. That is what he was saying is going on, accused the business of that with really no evidence. Barely circumstantial, and none of the logic adds up. So that opens them up to any kind of defamation lawsuit if they really wanted to. Like if they really, really wanted to. He does not look like he's swimming in money though. Now with that sub count. Oh, by the way, he came at me because of my sub count, which is a little higher than his. Nobody tell him I run 4 other channels. I think it would make him a little mad, but he likes to say a lot of things without doing proper research. And honestly, back when I started and up until Magic started crashing hardcore, which I guess he also doesn't know about, depending upon what metric, I was in the top 3 for a long time. Magic channels just don't get bigger than this without covering general TCGs or just towing the line and kissing WotC's ass. Well, I don't do that. That's the only thing that used to fly back then before people got wise to it in the last 3 years. And now everybody, including Hasbro's stockholders, have figured out what they're up to and caught up with what I've been saying about WotC the whole time. Which is they're a bunch of crooked assholes who are ruining the game. And, well, now they already have. But not everybody wanted to hear that. Thus my sub count. Thus me creating other channels that I actually care about. He just thought, oh, I could be the big savior. I could shut this down and then make a bunch of YouTube videos on it and get a bunch of views. Because he's desperate for views. It's clear he's one of those type of YouTubers who's like really, really desperate to become popular. He will do anything about it. But unfortunately, with your personality and your pissy attitude and the way you treat people, you've just got a toxic fan base. And welcome to Leafy is Hairland. Yeah, welcome to the wake-up call that most like YouTubers who cover Minecraft got. And prank channels where it's just cringy, obnoxious, poorly raised 12-year-olds who are like, yeah, I could be a dick to people too, except like he's not acting, he's not doing that for views. I get the impression he's just like that. It kind of explains the lack of success on his channel, hate to say it, okay? I'm going all Dr. Phil on this, but I just wanted to give him a reality check. If you ever want to get anywhere or don't want to like get a tiny little bit of fame on the backs of horrible, horrible, toxic little kids, which is the only people who seem to watch your channel right now, you're going to want to be a little more likable. This I hate everything and I have a bad attitude, yeah, doesn't fly anymore. And when it barely takes off, your community is not something you want to cater to. But all he cares about is popularity and money from what I've seen from his other content. So, you know, is what it is. Just a little advice for somebody who's been on YouTube a hell of a lot longer than you. You are not going a good direction, both in your life and on YouTube. So then he just gets hung up on the exhibitor pass. Oh, it's just set out there. It's a little too perfect. A little too staged. Okay, theory number 1. This person was an idiot. Idiots don't pay their bills, they're not financially responsible, and non-financially responsible idiots tend to buy counterfeits and think what they have is expensive. That explains the price of the cases and some other things we saw, and then they died or got arrested or who knows. So someone put their stuff in storage and they kept thinking, I should sell it, and then something happened to them, or, you know, whatever. However it ended up there, could be anything. People get hit by cars all the time, okay? So the person didn't know what they had, but some of it might be legit, but mostly counterfeits because they were a careless idiot. That's theory number 1. Oh, and they thought it would be cool at the end of a thing to ask somebody for the exhibitor pass so that they could, like, it's like a cool one-of-a-kind collectible, which also isn't worth anything. Theory number 2, this was a thief. A thief stole the pass because somebody had it in the trash or sitting on a table while they were loading out, and they walked off with it. Just like they walked off with a whole bunch of counterfeits, just like they walked off with a whole bunch of, sealed Pokemon, whatever else was in there. Or because they're a thief, they constantly tried to rip people off, unlike Craigslist and other local places or, you know, garage sales, flea markets, whatever. And they just act like they don't know what they got. So they steal some people's stuff and then they sell counterfeits because they're a terrible person. And then they didn't pay their, their storage fee because they're in jail or dead. But because they walked off with people's bags or people's decks or whatever at multiple different, Comic-Con style events or TCG events, then naturally they ended up with, proxies/fakes. Kind of makes sense when you see that some of the other property in there was stolen from a store. I think all of this is stolen. Deck boxes with real decks in them. Stolen from people who play at stores. I had some of my decks stolen. My friends had some decks stolen. Somebody tried to sell me a stolen deck when I owned my store, and it was from a competing store right down the damn street. People are this stupid. And the number 1 and 2 reason that storage auctions go up for sale is not financiers or people forgetting about them or whatever you said. Death, arrested. You tell me that that's not less reasonable than him going from, well, it's all fraud, it's all set up. Wait, people bid on it. People bid really high. So some people must have had more confidence in it than I am. Oh, no, that's right. I only knew the Pokemon ones were fake. I don't actually have any evidence that the Magic cards are fake other than it's a bunch of Power 9, they're probably fake. But maybe not. Okay, the storage company's in on it and it's money laundering. I'm sure when he sees this video, it's going to be aliens. Aliens set it up. This is a deep fake and we're in the Matrix and it keeps getting more ridiculous. If you know you're already wrong, just drop it. So now he's just focusing on, could you believe this Magic YouTuber said these are real? Never said that. Said multiple times in both videos that they are probably fake and I think they're fake, but just in case they're not, can anybody ID them? Because I already had evidence that they were stolen from a shop in Texas in the early 90s. Because I did more research than you, just like the cutout was stolen, but the guy it was stolen from said, I don't have anything to do with any of the other property in there. So I don't know how basically my mail that got stolen out of my mailbox or out of my store, the display that he was supposed to get mailed, how that ended up here, but I don't have anything to do with the rest. Then how did it get put face to the wall, not even knowing what it is until he said it, into this staged thing? How did that happen? Why is that there? Why is the shipping info visible? Do they want to get caught? No, this is not staged by the storage company. That doesn't make any sense. Yes, there are stupid criminals everywhere, but if you think that makes more sense, then some idiot thought he had real cards, put them in his storage, found out they were counterfeit, left them there. Like, just something as simple as that. Or my theory that because the Hobbit cutout was stolen from a store, and then we've got the handwritten MTG unsorted on the back of the white boxes in the back, which could be a collector, but it could just be bulk from a store. A store went out, and then this was their inventory, which, sure. Collectible, vintage, reseller, whatever. Maybe they have a brick and mortar, maybe they don't. And then they died, they went under, COVID hit the shops hard, we all know this. And they had on the wall, one side of the wall, all fake Pokemon cards, on the other side, all fake Magic the Gathering cards with a little sign under it that says, we don't buy counterfeits. And people walk in, they're like, whoa, Power 9, do you know what you have there? And then the owner goes, yeah, but they're fake. It's like an educational thing. It's like a joke. It's a puller. It's a funny thing to look at on the wall. But no, let's go straight to $250,000 money laundering operation through a public website that's visible to the IRS. That makes more sense. And then to turn around and call me stupid and say that I said something I didn't say because you just looked at the title of my video. Really? And then double down and triple down and quadruple down. Well, congratulations, Rattle Pokemon. You looked like a complete and utter moron for like the 5th time. I suggest you stop talking about this if you want to keep any ounce of respect. But then again, with your attitude, your content, and your channel almost growth, you're not getting anywhere anyway, so... And, boy, you better hope that the YouTube moderators don't catch wind of half the shit you said in your video. People have gotten strikes for a lot less. So the last thing to look into is a little bit of suspicious information about the storage company itself. The website used to be different, but the business could have moved. They use a digital relay phone, but those are cheaper. Oh, some of the property is also available for lease. That would be what you do if you also have storage units. Look, they're a moving and storage company, which means it's just some guy with a truck who just has some digital relay number. And based on their spelling, when you texted them, yeah, they're not that technical. They're not that into like how to run technology because they're not a technology company. They're a moving company. And moving and storage companies, I hate to break it to you, they sublease. They don't own buildings. They're in the business of moving when they say our storage facility is here. Here's where it was located. There's a reason that they said... Direct quote from the listing, storage unit pod, not storage unit pod. And if you look at the measurements, yes, they put multiple of these into another unit that they don't own and then charge a margin for it and then make all their money in moving. That's how these businesses work. But yes, they said storage unit pod will be brought out to a loading dock area for property removal. That is why it's not really where it is, because they have it somewhere else. A bunch of stuff smells real fishy with that, but how does that equate to, oh, well, let's set up one big auction, we'll get a ton of money, and then we'll run off after we, fooled this company into thinking that we're a real company. Like the storage facility listing company. Oh, but we're only going to take cash and it's going to go for $200K. Oh, but also it's money laundering. Oh, but also it's this, also it's that. And remember, he didn't say any of this in his original video. This is all after the fact. He just made a knee-jerk reaction and said, this will be content. Look at me, I'm getting this shut down. Oh, I'm the savior. I'm saving someone $200K. How are you saving someone $200,000 if it's money laundering and the bids aren't real? Why are they money laundering through a giant public website with a paper trail a mile long? Why are they money laundering if, as you said, they just opened in March? Usually, criminals use established businesses that take cash and have no paper trail. Well, electronic paper trail. They have a paper trail because the paper can be faked, but you know what I mean. So the storage company drama, like I said, I haven't seen all the actual evidence instead of the nonsense this idiot is spouting off. But that's got to be separate. No company would say, yeah, this will be our big $100,000 thing. This will be our big break. Crime of the century, and then put stolen property in it, visible stuff. That makes no sense. So, I mean, at the end of the day, though, this guy just doesn't understand how businesses work. Yeah, storage businesses lease to each other. They're franchised. They're independent. Hey, guess what? Uber drivers don't actually work for Uber either. They're independent people with their own cars. I don't know if you knew that. They own multiple places. They sublease it under other names. This happens all the time. The only ones that don't are massive franchise ones with a brand out there. And I happen to know that the company holding the storage auction really vets people pretty hard because they have to ensure that they're following the laws. There are very strict laws in all 50 states about storage auctions. But if you did more than 5 seconds of research before picking up the phone and then recording yourself for YouTube clout, you would have realized that. And my God, this guy contradicts himself so many times, I can't even edit it all together. Oh, well, the Hobbit cutout's just in there too, but that has nothing to do with it. Oh, but it's all staged, but that has nothing to do with it. But storage companies, they're not really where they say they are. Spoiler alert, they also don't own the building. That's how storage companies work. That's how independent, different name storage companies work. And they're tossed around between multiple owners all the time and subleased and subsold under different names. My God, this guy might have a heart attack if I tell him that the same company owns KFC and Pizza Hut. Oh my God, he's going to be in an asylum if somebody lets him know that the Mr. Beast restaurants aren't real. They're really just ghost kitchens operating out of other places that don't match their business listing. Please leave the investigating to people who know what they're talking about. So to reiterate, I never said that these are real. In fact, about a minute and a half in, and he just totally glazed over this and kept making the video like I never said it, said that these are probably counterfeit. You see Power 9, you see an auction, you see anything that looks expensive in the magic world. Sealed product, probably a reseal. Power 9, probably fake. Anything old, probably fake. Anything valuable, probably fake. And that's sold on a website where you can't go inspect it in person. And I told the owner of the cutout that they were almost definitely counterfeit. I have the logs to prove it. I told my Discord server that they're probably counterfeit because it was so implied that when you see anything like this, it's fake. I've debunked them in the past. And to not completely undercut the yeah, I get it, they're probably fake, let's move on, in the first video, that any Magic player with a functioning brain already assumed, but I did mention it in the first 2 minutes just to mention it, in case, we're not all on the same page here. I guess that just slipped past you. That because some stolen property is involved. And my initial report that I heard from other people looking into this was that the owner of the bookstore also had like a family friend or something, or a family member that sold stuff at a Magic convention, and maybe they just got burned on the Pokemon cards because, as you stated, you have no direct evidence other than color and I don't know that the Magic cards are fake. There was the tiniest chance that they were real, because if some of it was stolen from a shop, a retail bookshop, then some of the rest of it might have been stolen from a Magic the Gathering shop. I guess you don't watch the news because you don't know how often these stores are broken into and the big expensive cards up front are stolen, which I guess you also didn't know because I did mention this in my video. Even in my shop, we put fake counterfeit stuff, empty boxes full of sandbags and other assorted stuff not of value in both of the front glass cases. There was nothing of value in either of those cases because they were decoys for people breaking in and stealing from it. So the stolen exhibitor pass, the stolen various deck boxes, the stolen 1995 vintage card collector box. You can't just go get those. Nobody just has those sitting around. The probably stolen, because they wouldn't have the money, multi-$100 to $1,000 black cases. Then we had what looked like, price tagged off the shelf because I didn't look too close because I don't know modern Pokemon stuff. Those could have been stolen from a shop. It looked like all of this was stolen from all different places, and people steal bags, people steal all kinds of stuff from conventions. Well, what do you get if you steal a bunch of expensive looking cards from vendors and from people and from stores? You get mostly counterfeits because that's what they are. You know what? I hate to shatter your whole reality here, but I think you need a wake-up call because you clearly don't know how the world works. If you go to an art museum, there's a pretty good chance that painting on the wall isn't the real one. The real one's in storage. You know why? Because somebody could walk off with it. Because people have done that. You idiot. And occasionally dumb liberals like to throw tomato sauce and potatoes on them. And flash photography damages them over time. So this whiny, sarcastic little troll of a man just got exactly what he hoped wouldn't happen, I'm sure. Everybody calling him out on his crap. And by the way, you might want to watch what you say about other people. I cut out some of the stuff that would get my channel struck. He said way more offensive things about me, way more crossing the line things that, let's just say he's really playing with fire with getting a channel strike there. But it ain't gonna be compliments of me. When people make an ass out of themselves and come at me and look this stupid, I want evidence. I want that up for the world to see. What's that saying? Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a complete ass out of themselves? I don't think that's quite what the quote is, but you know what? It's relevant. So somebody sent me this. I clicked on it once and I said, well, those are counterfeit. Why? Because they're Power 9. And then we moved on to, oh, well, there's something stolen in it. Oh, but then what about this? Oh, but then that's older too, and that's from 95. So if these are from 95, and then if somebody died and somebody didn't know what they had, which is usually why, you know, storage auction goes up, okay, maybe it's a 1% chance that they're real. Then I got more evidence and more evidence and more. And what about this? What about that? What about, you know, well, if it's a thief and if this is, you know, inventory and if those are deck boxes that were stolen and then that doesn't match that. And this just looks like all one giant lot of stuff that people stole over the years. So now we move on to, okay, if they really knew what they were doing, they would only steal real Power 9 cards, but most people are too stupid to know what real ones look like. So they robbed a couple people at conventions, they robbed a couple shops, and this is the result right here. Oh, and nowhere did I ever tell people to bid on it. By the time I made my video, it was already removed. I guess you missed that. It was shut down about 6 hours before I made my video. So no, I didn't tell anybody the real, I didn't tell anybody to bid on it. That is just absolute bullshit that you made up to make yourself look better and me look stupider. Well, I've got the bigger audience and now they know your name, Rattle Pokemon. Have fun with that. You're very lucky that my community is wholly pretty civil and they're like adults and they're not jackasses who just watch cringe trash where you say, oh, look at this counterfeit, look at this idiot, oh, look at this. That's your whole channel. It's sad. And that's why you saw this and you're like, oh, I'm going to make a video and I'm going to be part of it. Oh, I'm going to get so many views. I'm going to get so famous over this. And look where it led you. Contradicting yourself, throwing out hollow insults, and me just absolutely breaking down everything you said. And now everybody knows what a fraud you are. Well, congratulations. Have fun with your YouTube career when I'm sure this isn't the first massive screw up you've made and it won't be the last. But seriously, drop it. You do not know who you're messing with. I've been nice so far. You want to keep pushing it, you're going to see what happens when I'm not nice. So go be an idiot as far away from my channel as you can possibly get, and I'll see everybody else next time.